Good afternoon and welcome. Today we're at Al Bustan Hotel in Sana'a and we have with us Mr. Abdulghany Aleryani. Thank you for being with us today, Abdulghany. Today we're having a conversation with Yemen's top political analyst. Mr. Abdulghany Aleryani is also the president of the Democratic Awakening Movement, TAWQ, and he is also vice president of Al-Hubra Center for Development. It is always a pleasure to discuss Yemen with Mr. Abdulghany, and we really take the opportunity to look into his crystal ball when it comes to Yemen politics. Abdulghany, can you give us a brief summary of your opinion about the current state of affairs in Yemen today?
I think that generally we are moving in the right direction. I have serious reservations over the timeline of the planned transition and national dialogue. I think it will be very difficult to maintain. But I'm optimistic that despite all the challenges that we are at least moving forward.
Keeping in mind that UN Special Envoy Jamal bin Omar last visited Yemen in the late July, when he left, he expressed his optimism about the national dialogue could actually proceed by November 2012 of this year. How optimistic shall we be following the announcement of the preparatory committee in late July?
The preparatory committee was a cause for optimism in the sense that it is actually a group of very good people. But the level of representation of key pro-democracy groups, such as the youth, the women, civil society, and in its own way, the Southern Iraq, these are groups that will take stands in favor of democracy. They have been underrepresented. So it's a matter of numbers. The quality of the people is very good. The number is small. Now, as far as how much they can do, I think the timeline given to them is almost impossible.
There are many issues still unresolved, as you have mentioned, with the Iraq, with the youth, with women, and they are often neglected when it comes to the national dialogue process. But two of the most important issues, as you mentioned, women and youth. And these are important for Yemenis that have been very active during the uprising of 2011, and also for the international community that has engaged the political crisis today, this year. And we believe that they're very important for the process of reconciliation. What are your expectations for proper representation of these two vital sectors of society once the national dialogue begins?
We will push as hard as we can to ensure that they are well represented. As it stands now, they are underrepresented, and we have to take into consideration that they are an unnecessary convenience in the eye of the political elite in Sana'a, who are now leading the process of national dialogue. And I'd like to point out that we have two very distinct directions of this national dialogue that are competing. One is to renegotiate the political agreement, the political deal among the usual political elite to the exclusion of everyone else. So what will come out of this is an elite compromise that will affect no change at all, with symbolic representation of the new forces. And then you have the youth, the women, the regional powers such as Houthis and Iraq, who are seeking a higher level of decentralization and therefore a more democratic system, more diffused power. And these people are not well represented in the preparatory committee.
Seeing that 2011 Nobel Prize winner Tawakkol Karman was chosen to be a member of this preparatory committee, what will be her role? Will she represent the revolution Will she represent the youth, women, her political party, Islah? What do you think would be her role during the national dialogue?
I wish Tawakkul would stand up for the women and for the youth and make their voice heard. Unfortunately, and since she got her award, she has not really spoken on the cause of women. She has been very quiet when women issues were discussed at the national level. And as far as how representative of the youth she is, I think she's taken a step away from Islah, but not enough to adopt the causes of the youth in full. I hope that she will be more representative of the constituencies that brought her to the forefront and to the point of getting the Nobel Peace Award.
Abdulghany, the issue of the Houthi rebellion that has now spread from the northern province of Sada to areas like Taiz and Aden, and also the issue of the southern movement of Iraq, which is still highly divided on the side of the exiles or the leadership within Yemen. The Iraq still remains highly fragmented, and people perceive the Houthi movement as fragmenting to a certain degree. What role do you expect these two groups to play during the national dialogue process in November?
These two regional forces are natural allies of the democratic cause. By seeking decentralization of power, they are calling for something that is more amenable to a democratic system. Now, the Houthis are spreading because I'm afraid of certain regional regional competitions between Saudi Arabia and Iran. They are not really representative of domestic politics in that spread. That's not healthy. Although I generally feel that the stronger the Houthis are, the stronger the Iraq is, the better the cause of democracy will be served. As far as Iraq is concerned, they have not really been able to establish a unifying cause. Basically, what unites them is I hate the North, and that's not really a positive basis. I think they need to establish what it is that they really want, what can be realistically achieved, and as long as they are divided by the leadership, the southern leadership in exile, many of whom are connected to powers, to states in the region, they will remain divided. I hope that they will be able to find out a grassroots leadership that represents the nature of their movement, which was very much a grassroots movement.
Finally, Abdulghany, as we have discussed with other Yemeni analysts, Yemeni activists, the issue of the humanitarian crisis, the ongoing humanitarian crisis. We've spoken about how security impacts the humanitarian crisis and how the humanitarian crisis hence worsens security. What are your hopes for relief in this crisis that is really nationwide? It's no longer just concentrated in the tribal areas, but now we can honestly say it's nationwide. It's a nationwide humanitarian crisis. What is the hope for relief?
Right now, not much. See, the one key reason of the humanitarian crisis is the Yemeni government. And although today they are not in the hand of Saleh, but they still operate along the lines of Saleh's old regime. There has not been any change. Now, we have resources that could have gone to humanitarian assistance, but instead it goes to Hamid al-Ahmar, it goes to Tawfiq Abdul Rahim, the famous businessman and diesel smuggler. It goes to members of Islah Party who were beneficiaries of Saleh's regime, and now they are leading the opposition in the new regime. I think that until the government of Yemen changes its approach and begin to act in a different way, that the humanitarian crisis will continue to deteriorate and get worse.
Abdulghany, thank you very much for your time during Ramadan. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for watching this interview. Thank you.